Hari Om and welcome. Continue with Chudamani Upanishads, the crown jewel of yoga. We're reading the mantras and reading commentaries and reflect on it. So the next mantra will be benefits of Khechari or Khechari Mudra. Everybody pronounces Khechari. It depends which language you speak, which guru you follow, this kind of stuff. Both is about the same mudra. So mantra is 53, 54, 55. It's a little bit longer one. So benefits of Khechari. It's unlimited, and I don't think you can put it in one mantra. We'll see how it goes. Sanskrit first. Na roga moranam tatsya na nindra na kshuta trisha. Na cha murcha bhavi tatsya yo mudra veti Khechari. Pidyate na cha rogena lipyati nasa karmabhi. Padyate na cha kenapi yo mudram veti Khecharim. Chitam charati ke yama jiva charati ki yatach. Tenyam Khechari mudra sarva siddhanamaskritha. And translation is, disease, death, and sleep do not trouble him who knows Khechari Mudra, nor hunger and thirst, nor swoon. One who knows Khechari Mudra does not suffer from disease, nor is be attached to karmas, nor bound by anybody or anything. All the siddhas pay homage to Khechari Mudra, by which one is able to rotate the consciousness in the cosmic space by moving the tongue into the cavity of the head. Talk about the physical aspects of Khechari, what it actually does, energetically, physically in the body. It's when we put the tongue, just watch previous mantra explanation, when we put the tongue towards kind of back roof of the mouth. So if you're just a beginner, you kind of put it towards the roof as far as you push back. But the full mantra is when you roll your tongue so back and you passing those soft pellets at the back, kind of basically to the entry of your nostril cavities at the back there. And eventually, advanced yoga practitioner, they even cutting the tongue from underneath you, this little muscle that connected your throat in the tongue. And they also splitting the tongue into two, like a snake type of, or lizard type of tongue. And these two ends kind of go into the cavities of your nostrils to the back, so you fully seal all these connections. Another thing which I don't think I mentioned in the last mantra, it's about babies. So the babies, the first instinct of the baby is to suck, yeah? So they suck the thumb, and numerous now, because we have ultrasound and we can in detail see the baby in your womb. And I was lucky enough, so I was already having a child when you have all this advanced technology. So you basically can see, almost like even figure out the feature of the faces of your child. And we definitely can see what position they're taking, what they're doing there. And often they bring the thumb, into the mouth. So what they're doing by bringing thumb, so they bring it back and they're closing this, sealing this back of the palate on the roof of the mouth. So basically they're having a Khechari, before they're even born. Then when they're born, they suck on the nipple of the mother, and that's what the nipple has to kind of nicely seal to the back of the roof. And it's not just connotation that the baby needs to have a baby milk, mother milk. So that's why they're doing this. That's why they feel good. There's absolutely underlying spiritual context. So they're getting not just the milk from the mother, they're getting the energy, the spiritual, the sucking, the feeding on the amrit from the mother for first whatever year or how long you are feeding your child. So all these things are very, very more bigger than you even imagine for yourself. When we practiced in Khechari, we basically closing it, and I feel a profound experiences also this connection. And when you seal something like lid vacuumly, or the connection, I don't know, like your USB connection or something with your cell phone, and you start charging the phone. So it's basically like that. So that's how I feel. And it's also electromagnetically tends to go there. So when you practice this, long enough, it doesn't have to be very long, several weeks or several even days, you feel like it's the tongue wants to go there, and it's kind of like when it goes there, it's kind of sealed. And the moment it's sealed, it's like you get the connection to the electricity. So you have this energy flow starts right away flowing. Similar like when you sit cross-legged and you bring the back upright. That's as well what I feel. So if I sit not, in a cross-legged position, in asymmetrical position, or I'm standing, or I'm lying, or I sit on a chair, which I don't know, I can't sit on the chairs anymore these days. Then I sit on the floor, I crisscross even easy my legs, and I straighten my back, and I straight away feel the same, like I'm plugged into my socket. So that's my personal perspective on that. So Khecharis elevate your practice, whatever you do. It could be just ujjayi breathing, or just you doing meditation, japa, repetition of the mantra. But if you perform Khechari and ujjayi, and it's kind of naturally they related. So the moment you put the tongue there, you wanna use ujjayi 10 times, 100 times more effect of whatever you do, whatever practice you do, not just sitting with a Khechari. Let's read the commentary, and I will add something at the back as well, some another life hacks for the Khechari. For the practice of Khechari Mudra, one drinks the nectar which drips from the bindu visagra and become free from disease, death, and the desire for sleep. Yeah, that's a very important thing. So the moment you start practicing Khechari a lot, you're going through some kind of a retreat, or you're practicing intensively Kriya Yoga, so you do several hours a day Khechari. You do need to sleep less, so you can, you go like whatever before 11, it's recommended. You're waking up like 3:30, 4, and then you go through whole day. But if you have enough practice, you do not feel as exhausted as normal days. Like if you do not practice yoga and you go to sleep whatever 11, 12, you're waking up, I don't know, 7. You feel broken all day, you're tired. Not often lengths of the sleep give you this energy. It's what you do through the day or your yoga practices. And cavities and the bindu drop, we talked about this before, and the next mantras will touch the bindu very in detail. The bindu point is a moon, and there's a drop of nectar, this kind of life force energy, like a nectar, amrit, which dropping through and feeding us. So that's how I see our life forces. That's how we exist and able to do something. In the moment you close it, this tap, there's no more amrit, people really fast losing the life, become sick or diseased, or just losing any interest in the life, and then we just basically die. So we are closing this connection, so we're kind of like collecting this nectar and sipping it back, rather than let it dissipate through us. Disease and death are the result of gradual dissipation and waning of the vital force. That's what I say, until the body and brain are no longer able to sustain health or life. By drinking the nectar which falls down to Lalan, the yogi is able to access a more subtle and refined level of energy. This acts within the system like the mythological fountain of youth, rejuvenating the body and brain at the cellular level and removing disease and aging, which are the cause of the death. Essentially, the cause of the death is just like you don't have any more life force, life energy, any energy. You lost all your amrit. This potential fluid which drips down from the bindu visagra is able to maintain all the life functions without the need for more gross forms of energy such as food and drink. In India, there have been many instances of persons who were able to maintain life without any intake of food or drink over a period of years. Yeah, we call them Prana Eaters, in Russian Prana Eaters, basically. So they're eating the pranas, but some of them even evolved in such a level. So if you have this Khechari, you split your tongue, you constantly sufficiently sustain yourself in meditation, you don't even need a breath or having the water. So there's a different stages, like when we become vegetarian, then vegan, then we just eat on falling leaves, for example, and then we're just surviving on the water in the sun, then just on the air, and then even you don't need that. And that's explained by this presence of amrit. And if you just, normal person, but you're vegetarian practicing yoga, you do, through your practice of yoga, kind of have this energy from that sources. That's why you feel, younger, and you need less food or less sleep, yeah. So it doesn't have this mystical connotation. It's all physically explained and have a physical reasoning behind, yeah. So it's not like something voodoo. Because there was a lot of yogis who've been found, who've been put in a cave with nothing, and then opened the cave in 3 months or even half a year. And they in this kind of like hibernation state, like, like a bears go every winter, or some bears, or some animals, many animals go to hibernation, bugs and stuff. Well, for example, cicadas. Right now we have a very loud cicadas, and they're coming out for 3 weeks or so per year, and the rest of the year they kind of dormant, sleeping somewhere in the roots of the trees or under the ground. So they hibernate basically. So we humans are able to do that too. We just forgot how. So that's what's happened, and essentially you don't even need food as energy or drink. This is possible when the subtle life force are accessed in the pure state, as in the practice of Khechari Mudra. The necessity for food and drink is one of the biggest obstacles in intensive sadhana. The yogi is forced to interrupt his sadhana in order to obtain food and drink. When intensive sadhana is interrupted, it takes a long time to again resume the same depths of concentration. And that's all about this purity and the energy release and dripping. So when we talked about this before, when we're digesting a lot of food, there's a lot of physically a lot of fluids going there, immune system focus on there, your mind feel foggier, your energy is not what it should be in your channels, pure channels, but it's working on your cleaning your body. When we practicing deeply, and when you go to some deep retreats, for example, Kriya Yoga, intensive, you end up with you don't even need to eat or sleep. Well, you will sleep, maybe, but not as much as I told. Maybe 3-4 hours a day, that'll be enough. And most of the time, even in the sleep, you will have a practices. And most of the time, you will not. You will eat maybe very simple, clean food, and some people do intensive shatkarmas, so cleansing the body in the same time while you have these intensive practices. It's all down to, first of all, have fast effect of those deep practices and preserve it. And if you go to some retreat, some ashram, whatever, and if you have complaints that there's not enough food or food is not as diverse, there's a specific reason. So don't be so hasty about judging, the place. And it's for your own good, Similar, you need to do these retreats for your body yourself, seasonally, every year or every change of season. Very good to do it, kind of let the body to slow down, kind of rest. And while it's resting, it's healing itself. And many chronic or just any diseases coming from that. There's not enough time to rest, reflect, and allow your body to just several days do not consume anything, and just go and clean all the corners and remove unnecessary cells and poison. We need to do it regularly, not just for the physical longevity and life force, but also for the mental clearness, for your spiritual balance. Digestion is also a problem during intensive sadhana. The physical system that is geared for sustained meditation function at a lower metabolic rate, so a longer period is required for digestion after meals are taken. So you kind of all your energy is there, uplifted in different channels, and then you bring the heavy food, so you have to, oh my god, you have to start all over again, kind of learn to digest the food. It's quite draining. If any sadhana is undertaken during the time when food is digesting, gastric problems will result. Poor digestion causes toxins and gases to build up in the system, which affects the sadhana adversely. And I mean here, the sadhana, I think that's what they mean, this intensive deep meditations practices. And it's very natural. Your body will tell you, even if you start doing those, you already will kind of lose interest in the quantities and specific qualities of foods, complicated foods, heavily processed food, and food with many ingredients. That's something you're trying to avoid, all this, Drinking the nectar in Khechari Mudra allows the body and mind to be nourished by a subtle form of prana. Thus, the yogi is freed from all hunger and thirst and able to pursue high sadhana uninterrupted. So, just summarizing. Sleep is another obstacle during intensive sadhana. When the mind is introverted for a long period of time, there is a tendency to become dull. Then the yogi is troubled by the constant desire for sleep. During the time of sadhana, excess sleep makes the system tamasic and prevent the yogi from awakening the higher dimension of consciousness. A regular amount of sleep is required by people living in the world to counteract stress and fatigue. During this period of rest and introversion, the body and the mind repair themselves and prepare for the next day onslaught. However, sleep becomes unnecessary for yogi whose system is free from disease, degeneration, and decay. Only those who are unable to control the degeneration process require sleep. That's what's happened, and usually they say sleep is very important, we heal ourselves through the sleep. But think about how much you sleep and how you need to sleep, or for example, how sleepy you feel in a particular time of your life, and what you're doing in your life, what level of the stress, how far you are from your spiritual, how much you eat, and all this kind of stuff. For me, it's very much if I'm traveling and used to do some work, like quite physically demanding type of work, or your sleep is so required, you like constantly sleeping, or if you do a lot of mental work, like for example, I don't know, writing articles or something like that, thinking a lot, you need sleep. And if you support yourself, you know how and with which practices of yoga you will support yourself in those times, you will not need as much food or sleep during the times, you will have extra access to the energy. So you kind of like a yoga master have to jungle in between and correlate your life. At the same time, if you're in a calm environment, nothing unusual required, you intensive and regular with your good deep practices, you feel you need less sleep, you feel you need less food. And I found this direct correlation. So the moment you start fasting, for example, you don't eat for 7 days, maybe just drink water or just some kind of herbal drinks, you less sleep. And especially first couple nights, you're going to feel like you're lying down in a bed, clear mind, no sleepiness at all, with no coffee, nothing, you've been cleansing, you're just drinking just the water. That will be the effect of this emptiness in your body, and you have so much extra access to the energy, Amrit, that you don't need sleep as much. So it's all very true and related. Finally, the mantra states that the yogi who knows Khechari Mudra will be untroubled by murcha, which means faint or swoon, as an unconscious trance state. Faint and swoon is somewhat akin to sleep in that both involve the unconscious state. Both imply total cutting off of the sensory perception from the outside world, but without the requested awareness that is necessary for conscious meditation. The purpose of Kundalini Yoga is to experience the unconscious consciously, and this is what is achieved through mastery of Khechari Mudra. Yes, you become free of this fainting. And I know some people, like, they have tendency to faint a lot. And if you ever been fainted, I think I fainted only once in my life, and it was from the excruciating pain. So I dislocated my thumb rather than, address it. I kind of like dislocated it more on top of it. So it was like double dislocated the same thumb. And I really consciously felt like I'm losing conscience right now. I felt like my body become heavy, like it's fall down on the floor. So I still was kind of like half. I think there was a slip of the second when I kind of lost conscience. But in the same time, I felt this slip that I'm right now fainting. I knew I'm fainting, but you cannot do anything about it, this type of. But some people tend to just faint like they don't remember anything, blank. Or they even do something and then they don't remember that it happened to them. So this is this unconscious, like you losing this connection. Of course, as a yogi practitioner, we're always trying to stay conscious, even in our sleep, those deep sleeps as well, when you just blank. Kind of we're practicing as well, even in the sleep. So we constantly trying to stay conscious. And that's what as well in the meditation. That's why any true yogis will never accept any help in your meditation, like any substance you take you into the trips, if you know what I mean. People say, oh, it's faster way, you don't need to, meditate. It's kind of yes and no. You have similar effects, like what's happening in the brain, this kind of stuff, you can explain it as a similar effect. But in reality, it's not. Because anything you do with the help of substance or hypnosis, it's not your kundalini. So you do not doing your practice. You've been taken there by some external forces or something physical happened to your body. We cannot attribute it to the yoga experience, to the yoga practice. Although people really believe it is, and they like pushing it, and they even some yoga practitioner, they doing it, and they like aided it on yoga practice. I am kind of more classical and traditional in this sense. The second mantra says the one who knows Khechari no longer comes under the influence of Shakti or Maya. Shakti Maya, this illusion world we're in. He does not suffer from disease, nor is he attached to karma, nor bound by external situations. Here is implied, first of all, that one who drinks the nectar by the practice of Khechari Mudra is unaffected by suffering of the body. He views the body as one with a rented vehicle without any feeling or identification or ownership. So it's like, I have a car, so I have a car, if she broke, what can I do? I buy another one, But I use the car for, when I drive the car, I don't, although some people do these days, it's crazy, but I don't feel as my car is me. I only sense my car is me as she takes me somewhere, how far she takes me somewhere in my car, or how safe my car for me, of my family, or how comfortable my journey, in this sense, but not in the sense that, oh my God, somebody scratched my car, they scratched me. So we don't associate that with a car. If we sensible, normal people, how we should be in this world. Well, similar with the clothes, yeah? And then the clothes get old, and what we do, we throw it away, we get another one. And that's how your state of mind for your body when you become advanced yoga practitioner or just yoga practitioner. Therefore, if the body is diseased, he does not suffer. There will be physical restraint, physical uncomfortable, and the yogis do have physical, restraint, because we bound by being born in this world. And sometimes people see yogi teachers, they could be overweight, or they could be have some disease. Sometimes we have disease or accidents happen, it's out of our control. And we cannot put the judgment on them, maybe he's not good yogi enough, he should be all slim and healthy and looking 20 when he's 50, this kind of stuff. It's kind of tendency, it will be as a result, but it's not the defined rule. It's not like you start practice yoga and from 70 years old you become magically 20 years old, this stuff. And another thing that your body will suffer, and it does, we're old people, we all here same. But it's all, the only difference, it's your attitude towards that. Of course, you feel more flexible, healthier, because you do more practices, you have this energy, you kind of less probable you'll have a disease like most of the people. But if you do, you still suffer, And most of my yoga teachers, they do have, they don't have like a flus and this kind of stuff, but they do have something with the body, or they might get some kind of influenza, all this stuff. But it's all about their attitude towards that, how they deal with this. Similar to death, we're all gonna die. But what we're gonna do, why we'll die, and our attributes to the death. Therefore, if the body is diseased, he does not suffer. He is not concerned because he identifies himself with a higher dimension, the state of universal awareness, which is beyond duality, and the finite experience of the body and mind. The body and mind function within the confines of time and space, ida and pingala, but it is possible to transcend these poles of duality. Normal psychophysiological functioning undergoes a change in restructuring, so that supernormal functioning takes place. Secondly, the drinking the nectar in the practice of Khechari Mudra, one is freed from attachment to karma. Yeah. And here I think it's mean in terms of, action, reaction, everything goes, have effect, yeah? The word karma means action. All actions, whatever performed physically, mentally, psychically, or spiritually, consciously or unconsciously, are karmas. And it doesn't mean karma like we tend to think, and I talk about this all the time, in a bad sense. So always bad sense. Why is bad? So if you help somebody in the street, eventually somebody will help you, or somebody helped you in the past. It's not about the bad karma as well, but it's the karma. It's the action, reaction. It doesn't matter what is this. I breathe out, I will breathe in. It doesn't mean like you steal from somebody and then somebody will gonna steal from you, definitely. It's about the energy balance rather than, this kind of direct karmic thing. Furthermore, these karmas are stored as residual impressions in the deeper layers of consciousness, where they color and influence every aspect of life from birth to death. And even before baby born, you already have these impressions collected. And that's why we practice yoga and nidra. That's why we practice all these visualizations and meditation, and we're releasing one by one these samskaras, impressions. Many scriptural texts state that karma is the cause of bondage to Maya and to the cycle of birth and death. Therefore, the main objective of yoga is to free ourselves from the bondage of karma, and hence from the illusory veil of Maya, Shakti, and Prakriti. And there's a different attitude. Some people say like, wow, we should get rid of it, just stay with it and enjoy it, that's type of, I think kind of like a hippie type of people, they're kind of doing this too. Eventually you will be kind of bored from everything, that's the point, from good and from bad. It doesn't matter. And then you're yearning for something. You're always going to be yearning for something bigger and else. If you're not yet, just stay where you are, enjoy what you do. But you will eventually, okay, what's more? I already done this. I already, I have all these unlimited cycles of this. What's beyond? Why? What's the point? That's the questions. At some point of your life, maybe even not in this life, you start asking. And that's when these come in place. In the previous mantra, reference was made to fixing the concentration at the point between the eyebrow. In the final stage of Khechari Mudra, when the tip of the tongue simulates Ajna Chakra at the top of the nasal orifice, that's what I told you when you put it there, you're gonna directly affecting your Ajna, which is very hard to access. The inner vision associated with the psychic center is awakened. Freedom from the influence of karma and destiny is only possible at the level of Ajna Chakra, where the identification with the external world of duality or the manifest dimension of existence is transcended. So it's kind of like you understand, I'm more than this body, this life, this existence. Yeah. The practice of Khechari Mudra ultimately awakens Ajna Chakra, and consequently, one is free from the attachment of karma. One who is freed from the attachment of karma functions by different laws. He is free in the real sense to soar in the unmanifest infinite space, unbounded by the manifest world, by external situations, but anyone or anything. Just gonna read it through. Hence, the next mantra states that the accomplished yogis pay homage to the practice of Khechari Mudra, by which they are able to rotate the consciousness through the boundless space of eternity. Time and object are concepts of the finite mind and the laws of nature. The finite mind is the product of nature. If the consciousness is explained beyond the limits of the finite mind and natural phenomena, the consciousness will enter the realm of the infinite. The duality, everything is around us. It's not just this physical world existence or concepts, good or bad, hot and cold, but it's also a concept of time itself. Was the past or the future? Lineation of our world. We can't come back to the past. We can only go in one direction, all this kind of stuff. We're born, live, we aged, we die. There's no return back. So when you activated Ajna, and that's what I talk about chakra calls, it's this higher, the last kind of chakra before you release yourself from this world. It's not like you're losing concept, but you just see through. You see the matrix of this reality. And it's like they say, everything become possible, no limitations. It's in terms of there's no time anymore, no space. You can communicate, telepathically, all these things. So that's the Ajna chakra here that's explained. And some people kind of naturally access it from time to time, and it all scares them or make them weirdos or make them psychics. But usually people are suffering if they do not understand what's happening, why, how to control it. Khechari, one of the greatest tool, very physical, very simple, just put your tongue there. But it's amazing. And again, come back to this comparison with the babies. It's so crucial and essential for the baby. It's given. So you're born, you already know about all this stuff. And the baby's usually kind of more tuned to these energies and psychic, although they're not, like we say, consciously not understanding. But it's a lot of crap. So when people tell me when I was, had a baby, like, if a baby watched something, they're not going to remember it. Everything recorded in the samskaras, even when you sleep, even when you're unconscious, when you faint, it's still on your subconscious. Whatever happened around you will be recorded. And that's the moment when your baby, very important, because everything recorded stay, and it's cause all these tendencies of grown-ups. So people start, for no reason, there's a fear of spiders or fear of flying or fear of closed space or, fear of anything. There's so many fears, phobias. Where they come from. And one people grown up in the same family, and one people have this temper, energies, and other children totally different. And it's all these things, yeah. So Khechari is amazing. We'll come back to it later again. Meanwhile, blessings.